Recording in progress. I'm Junor Francis saying welcome to the History of LA Ska one-on-one sessions. This series celebrates the ska, rocksteady, and vintage reggae scenes in Southern California and beyond through insightful conversations with legends and modern-day players, including those behind the scenes. And a lot of people are working behind the scenes to make this possible. Now, whether you watch us on YouTube or listen to a podcast episode, we want to say a special thank you. On this episode, we welcome two guests from the seven-piece Orange County, California-based band Me Bambi. Lead vocalist, Tahlena, help me with your last name.
Chikami.
Veteran trombonist, T-Bone Willy. Greetings and welcome to both of you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
How are you all doing?
Great.
Yeah, doing great. How about you?
I'm doing fine so far. So you have relatives in where the war is being fought?
No.
Any?
No. Is that for me?
Question is for both of you.
Oh, no. Luckily, no. No, I'm Japanese.
Oh.
Yeah. And then Norwegian. So no. And what are you, Welsh?
Yeah.
So luckily, no, but we're thinking about those people and we're keeping them in our thoughts and prayers.
Right.
And that sounds empty, but it's true.
Yes, sad. Well, let's start with acknowledging the other members of the band, Me Bambi. Please talk about how and when the group was formed. Former members of Save Ferris, My Superhero, Suburban Legends, Karate, Garage, and I think some other people. Fill in the gap.
A bunch of the people in the band, we've all been playing in bands locally for years. Let's see, I guess we could run down the list. Our drummer, Dan Evans, he's been playing in ska bands since probably like the mid 2000s. He really ripper drummer. I know plays all different types of styles and stuff, but yeah, I know he's playing in Half Past Two. He's also playing with them.
The Pocketeers.
Played with the Pocketeers and some other Orange County area ska bands. Let's see, Mike Baralt, our keyboardist, he was in My Superhero before in the 90s. So that was, they did the Warped Tour, and they've done a bunch of tours back in the 90s when ska had its heyday in the late 90s in Southern California in the United States. So they got to do a lot of big tours and a lot of experiences with a lot of bands. Let's see, who else are we forgetting?
Everyone. Ryan Brown is our bass player. Ryan Brown was, he's played in a lot of more pop punk bands. This is sort of his first ska thing, but Ryan also plays in like orchestras for musicals and stuff like that. So he's really talented, really diverse player. And then we have Kyle O'Donnell on sax. Kyle has played for everyone from like Lord to like a bunch of jazz combos and things like that. He's super talented. He played at SoFi Stadium a couple weeks ago for like a Google event. Kyle's a super ripper guy. And then Brian Ashburn, who was in Save Ferris and the main songwriter for Save Ferris. And he's been in a bunch of other projects too, Victory Season, stuff like that. So Starpool.
Yeah, and that's kind of the history of this band. After Save Ferris disbanded in 2002, all the guys from Save Ferris decided to start up a new band. So we started a band called Starpool. And that band kind of came from, I had a house that I was renting in Orange County that had a swimming pool in the backyard shaped like a star. And so we used to, in the Save Ferris days, we wrote all our music at that house. We just used to have epic parties at that house where we would have all the local bands from the Orange County, LA, San Diego scene would come to my house and play with. And it just kind of became a destination spot. So when we started a new band, it just seemed like a logical name for the band. So
completely original name.
I'm sorry?
Completely original name.
Yeah, absolutely. And then there was another band playing locally. It was kind of more of a funky reggae band called Freak Daddy. They were really good friends of ours in the 90s. And the lead singer of that band, Alan Mead, he was actually the original singer for No Doubt also. He was the singer for Starpool. And so we were kind of a Orange County band for 2004 all the way till a couple of years ago. We kind of stopped playing, just everybody got busy. But we would just have, our rotation of just playing a couple shows in Orange County, LA area a couple times a year just to kind of have fun with it. And when that project stopped playing, then we started up Me Bambi. And so Brian Mashburn and myself, we kind of started reaching out with Tahlena and a few other musicians that we knew to start this new project. And we had about a good year and a half of building it and recording stuff and doing music videos. And then we had a whole bunch of tours lined up, and then COVID happened and everything got canceled. And so we spent the last 2 years doing music on the internet and twitching and trying to build our fan base without being able to do concerts.
I mean, you guys been busy on a social network like
Yeah.
Firefly. Really, yes, wonderful, wonderful. So Tahlena, where did you grow up, and what are some of your biggest musical influence growing up?
So I'm from Orange County originally. I was born and raised in Cypress, California, a very small town near Anaheim, which everyone knows because Disneyland. But so I grew up in a house, my parents were younger. So my dad was a mod in high school. So I grew up with a lot of like mod music and ska music. And then in the 90s, they were playing me like No Doubt, Goldfinger, you know, Stay Ferris, like, you know, these bands. And so I kind of grew up in my mom's favorite band is Green Day. So like I grew up with a lot of that, which was rad. And then I started doing musical theater as a kid. So then I became like obsessed with musical theater and musicals. And that's when I started singing lessons and dancing lessons and all that stuff. So I have this sort of weird mix of like mod ska punk music and like theater and jazz and blues. And so that's sort of, I don't know, mashed into what we kind of do. I often get the note in rehearsal that I'm too theatrical in my vocal delivery, and they tell me to bring it back in. So that's kind of where I come from.
Mm-hmm. So if I'm not mistaken, according to the research we've done, you started performing at the age of 9.
Yeah, that's when I started doing musical theater. I did children's theater. Then I started doing college productions and I was like 12, 13. And then I moved into doing like civic light operas and stuff like that. And then I went to television when I was 15. And I did that until I was like 25. Go ahead, sorry.
So you left television and you move on to acting, Hollywood, right?
Well, yeah, doing movies and TV. And then when I was around 25, I just really fell in love with doing music, and acting was just really taking a toll on me. It's a lot of rejection and a lot of time and a lot of driving in traffic. So I decided to step back and take a break to do music because it was what I really was enjoying and really loving. Like there's nothing better than like a live performance, live audience, the energy, you know, you're giving them something, they're giving it right back to you. Like, you don't get that on the set, you know, even doing like live tapings of TV shows, it's still not quite the same. So I decided to take a break and do ska music.
Wonderful, wonderful. I love that commitment. So Willie, you've been a fixture on the Southern California ska scene for some time now. How and when did you come into the ska scene, and who are some of your biggest influences?
Ooh, that's a tough question.
How could it be?
I think growing up in Southern California, especially growing up in the 80s, there were a lot of great bands locally. Mm-hmm. I always tell the story that just growing up at the time and the place where we did, going to shows and just seeing your peers on stage performing with bands like The Donkey Show or No Doubt, or a lot of really good reggae artists would come through town, and you'd see like Ika Mouse, or you would see, you know, just constantly like Club Post Nuclear. There were so many great venues back in the day that you could see all these bands. Mm-hmm. And I grew up playing trombone in school and seeing, wow, there's an opportunity for me to be up on stage too. And so I started playing in bands, I was like 13, 14, and just like everybody else, just started in the garage playing with other, you know, musicians, and we would put up flyers at the local record stores, or you would meet people at concerts and everybody would talk and find out who played what instrument, and you'd start bands and they'd go for a year or two, and you'd start off really bad, then you'd get a little less bad, and then it would fall apart and you would start a new band with other people. And it was just kind of, my whole career was just doing that with other musicians. And I got really lucky, and a couple of the bands that I got to play with got, you know, some local success. And then in the late 90s, when ska really took off, I just happened to be in a band that in my opinion, had some good songs and some good hooks and some great opportunities that, we were just lucky, right place, right time. And I got to tour the world and do some really just amazing things that I'd never dreamed of. And now that ska's popularity is kind of coming down, it's back to how it was in the 80s, where it's more of a small local scene where everybody's more supportive now, and it's just everybody's having a good time. And I'm just having a blast. And with Bite Me Bambi, we're just trying to have great experiences and do cool things with it, and just, enjoy what we can do right now.
Yeah, I especially want to thank you guys for keeping the ska culture alive.
For sure. Absolutely.
Really and truly. So I think a big break came for you when you recorded on Hepcap's first single, Nigel, right?
Yeah, that was
I think that was produced by Joey Altruder.
Correct. Yeah, we did that in 91 or 92, I think. I was playing in a band at the time called the Imperials, and I remember we played with Hepcat at Spanky's in Riverside. It was one of the local all-age venues that you would just see, every month there'd be 2 or 3 just amazing shows. And I just remember one time I heard Hepcat. I was actually outside in the dressing room area, and I heard them, and it sounded like they had a full horn section, and I was like, who is this? And I ran back in to go watch them, and it was just one saxophone, because they only had one sax player at the time, but he had a bunch of pedals. And so he was using those pedals to make his sound like a full horn section. And I was just like, wow, that's crazy. And Alex and Greg were just, mesmerizing even at the beginning of that band. And I remember later that night, I think our trumpet player was talking to them about, hey, if you guys need any horn players for recording or something, let us know. And, we got a phone call from them a couple of days later saying, hey, we're doing some stuff with Joey from Jump with Joey. And we were over at their house. And I remember showing up there, and I think we learned 5 songs that morning, and then we recorded them that day in I think it was Greg's living room. And it was pretty stressful, because I remember we just learned the songs, recorded them, and then that was it. We just had one day to do everything, because back then you didn't have budgets, you didn't have computers, everything was just real shoestring budget, and you get maybe 1 or 2 takes on it, and that's it. And I just remember recording all our stuff, and and then we got the vinyl 45, and it was the first time I was ever on vinyl. And I remember just being like, this is awesome.
Yes.
So excited.
Right. You're also a member of the Knuckle Brothers. I think that was in the 90s, right?
Yeah, that was another band. I kind of think after high school, I was in like 5 or 6 different bands. So It was, being a horn player, you could always just kind of jump around in different projects and play with whoever you wanted to play with. I always love telling the story. I was in like a funk dance, like pop type band at the time, and we used to practice at a rehearsal studio in Anaheim called Stomp Box, which is an old rehearsal space. And the band that used to practice next door from us was No Doubt, and they had these windows on the doors where you could look in and see everybody practice. And I remember they would always be watching us practicing, because I think at the time we were probably a more popular band than they were, because again, this is like 87, 86, 87, and they wanted to steal me to be their trombone player in their band. And I remember at the time I was like, I really like No Doubt. They were kind of cool, but I thought the other band I was in was going to end up being more popular. So I kind of told them, I'm like, I don't know, we'll see. And they gave me all their tapes to learn, and I learned the songs, but just never anything ever came of it. But it's just, that's how it was, the culture back then, where everybody was in so many different bands and just supporting each other and just coming up, as a teenager or as a youth.
Right. This is sort of a repetition, but you also work with Safe Ferris.
Sure.
And I think Starpool.
Yeah, that was the band we started after Safe Ferris finished.
Oh, that's what you were telling me about, right? Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Okay, right. So now you're settled in with the band you're working with now.
We started at Bite Me Bambi. Starpool kind of stopped playing. Everybody got jobs and just not as much free time to do stuff. So I think
isn't it unfortunate that in a rich country like United States, you guys are professional musicians, but you still have to do stuff on the side?
Yeah, we're just having fun with it.
How do we solve the problem?
I'm sorry?
Is it a problem that can be solved? Is there any easy solution?
I don't know. I mean, I think it's important to have other musicians that want to have the same goals as you. So if you're on the same page and you have the same goals, then you can make it work. And if not, no harm, no foul. You just get other musicians to replace, with people that want to do what you want to do. So it's okay.
But a lot of ska musicians, they really struggle from hand to mouth. They live from hand to mouth, struggle from hand to mouth.
Yeah.
So why both of you committed yourself to playing ska? You could easily play rock and punk rock.
No, you make a great point. I've always told people all the time, because I know a lot of bands got accused, especially in the 90s, for changing their sound because that was popular in the 90s. And I always thought that was not the right way to do it, because if it's not in your soul and it's not what you love and it's not who you are, then it doesn't feel as genuine or authentic. And I know with myself, again, I've been playing ska since the early, late 80s. And it's just a genre that I just love. There's so much about the music. I always love telling the story. The first cassette that I got was the Scatolites Roar album, Stretching Out. And I just remember when I got that tape, I listened to that tape so many times because it was just so infectious. And yeah, once you find that, and then you find Fishbone, and then you find Desmond Decker, and then you find Madness, and then once you find Toots, it's all over.
Yeah, but it's hard to commit yourself to playing ska. So again, much appreciation, love, and admiration.
Oh, we love it.
I always say I would play it if people cared or people didn't care. Like, I'll always play ska. Like, it's my favorite kind of music. It's, it's what makes me feel good. It's a community of people that are really awesome. So I want to be where those people are.
But not to belabor the point, but a lot of people move on because they can't pay the bills playing.
Sure. It's hard to make a living with it. That's for sure. And you make a good point. If you're a really good musician, you're going to go to where the money is, especially if it's your living. So with ska has its peaks and valleys where it'll get really popular, and some people go, oh, that's where the money is, and then it gets really and, I totally get that for some musicians. But for us, I mean, like I said, when we're not playing it, my entire vinyl collection is like 90%, 60s ska or, two-tone or just all that stuff. I mean, we're all about it for sure.
Right. Tahlena, back to you. Me Bambi has recorded a number of impressive cover songs over the past, years. How do you go about choosing songs and artists to cover their songs or pay homage to? Our Lips Are Sealed, I think that was by the Go-Go's. I mentioned a couple of them. The Specials, you cover Gangster. Want You Bad, that's the Offspring, just to name a couple.
Yeah.
How do you decide what songs you want to cover?
Well, thank you for complimenting that. It was funny when COVID first happened, we sort of were like, what are we gonna do? And so we started doing the covers on YouTube, and some of it were actually like fan pick songs, like people made suggestions and we covered them. I give all the credit really to Brian Ashburn, our guitar player. He's really got an ear for arranging songs. And so he really has a good ear for the covers. The only one I can take credit for is Want You Bad. I really like that song. And I was like, oh, I think this would be cool. Yeah, the Offspring song, Want You Bad. But a lot of it is Brian Ashburn, who's just really good at, for me, I'll hear a song and I'll go like, oh yeah, well, it'll be easy. We'll put horns on it and it'll be cool. And he's like, no, you got to make it your own. And so he's always working to make these covers our own and have interesting arrangements. And so it's kind of whatever the band is feeling, people will throw things out. Hey, what about this? What about that? And we sort of just throw it at the wall and see it if it sticks. There's been a lot of songs that we tried and did not come out great, or somebody wasn't feeling or whatever. And so sort of the cream rises to the top, and those are the ones that we go with.
So it's not necessarily, go ahead.
I was going to say, we've also had a couple covers that we've done where maybe there's a certain thing that happens or a certain thing that gets thrown at us. We actually did a session with Lee Scratch Perry, and that was something that was an opportunity that was presented to us where he offered to remix one of our songs. So we did that, and then crazy, like he mixed the song and then he passed away the next day. And so
it's just recently.
Yeah, because he just passed away a couple of months ago, and
right.
Literally we were the last thing he touched before he passed away. And so when we did that, we're releasing that on a vinyl 45 that's coming out later this spring. And we were like, well, we need to put something on the B-sides. So we went and we recorded Police and Thieves. because that's a song that he co-wrote and produced.
Yeah, oh, big, yeah, man.
There's been some stuff.
1977. Wow.
Yeah, so it's kind of shocking. We were super like disappointed because we really wanted to do more with them.
Yeah, it was really upsetting.
How did that come about? Somebody just said Lee Perry is gonna mix your song, just like that.
Well, we have a friend who has a record label, and so
Stay Free Recordings.
Yeah, Stay Free Recordings, and so he's a promoter at the Glass House, and he just gets really cool opportunities or cool experiences. And so I think he just reached out to his management company, and they kind of talked about us as like being something that they wanted to do. And so we get a phone call or an email saying, "Hey, Lee Scratch Perry wants to do one of your songs," and we were just like, "Yes." Of course.
It's crazy. It's like, what?
Yeah.
So how was it done? You had to send a master tape to him, or so he can open up the tracks are open, so he can open the tracks.
Yeah, we got to even see video. I think that's what was so shocking about his passing is like they sent us video of him mixing it. And I remember thinking like, wow, he looks really good.
Yeah.
I was like, that's so cool. And we, hear him talking about the track and what he was doing. And I don't know, it was one of the highlights of my life. Like, it was just so cool.
Yeah.
And then to hear him of his untimely passing,
Yeah,
I mean,
it
was shocking. And it was so sad. I mean, he was truly such a smart and creative person with so much talent.
He's a genius.
Yeah, I mean, inventing the overdub, putting in samples, like he invents that technology. It's like, what? To have that thought, in that time. I think it was Questlove who was just like, if you've heard a current hip hop track, like you've heard his influence, like he creates that whole genre in a way. And so it was really amazing. I'll treasure it always. Like, it was one of the coolest things we've ever heard.
You have a gold mine. You're sitting on a gold mine, the single. Because he was the only person who Bob Marley would listen to attentively and never contradict in the studio. And when Lee Perry says, "This is what I want," Bob, keep quiet.
Yeah, you gotta listen.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So who's going to put out the single? You have a distribution company?
Well, our friend Stay Free Records. They're the one that's releasing it. And I know they usually do limited pressing, so I'm not sure what the plan is. We haven't heard, but I know usually when he does a pressing, he'll make like 345s and that's it. It's just a one-time only type thing. And then we'll probably release the song on streaming on like Spotify and Apple. And then one of the things we've been doing with Me Bambi is we do music videos for all of our singles. That's just, there's so many different social media platforms. And we always say there isn't one right one and one wrong one. It's just whatever one you choose to go with. And so we chose to go with YouTube videos as kind of one of our main platforms. And so every time we have a song, we'll create a video, release it on YouTube, put the digital available for streaming. And that's kind of how we've been doing our music releases instead of doing full albums. And so we'll do that for these songs. We'll definitely get them out. So people that can't get the 300 pressings, they'll still be able to hear the songs and download them and stuff. But if you want to get the actual vinyl, you got to pay attention and get it while it lasts, because I know it's going to go real fast.
Yeah, I don't know. It seems to me elitist when we only pressing a handful of people. I never like that. But low income like myself never get the opportunity to get some of those.
Well, the pricing's, I think he charges only like $10, $20, $15, $20.
That I'm not sure.
Yeah, I feel like I bought a couple of stuff. So it's not expensive, but it's just, he's trying to make it exciting. He might do more because of the association with Lee Scratch.
Of course, the world. So was it going to be Lee Scratch Perry mixed by Me Bambi, and because his name has to be up front?
Yeah,
it's
because you have the authority, you're authorized to use his name, right?
Yes. And it's really like us choosing Police and Thieves as the B-side. We really wanted to honor something that he did and something that we think is an important message. So it's sort of even the music videos, we are putting him first. We want to honor his legacy in these videos, very inspired by him, his art, his style, like a lot of that. So we're trying really hard to put that first. Where just the second afterthought.
And then the art.
You can't.
I'll let you go.
No, sorry. He was trying to give away a secret and he can't say that yet.
Sorry. There's another surprise about the full.
So you have advertising budget, because you should push this. I mean, this thing should go far.
Yeah, I think so too. I think it's gonna, I mean, we still got a few months because with vinyl pressing, it takes like 6 to 8 months to get the vinyl.
It's a long lead time right now.
So we did this like last year, and we're barely talking about it yet because it's not going to be released until probably I think May or June. So we still have a few more months before we'll really start getting it out to the public.
Right. So Tahlena, Kenny Rogers and Dolly Parton, Island in the Stream was one you covered. Tell us about that one. And I think Scott, a Big Real Fish, he played a role.
Yes. So we stream on this platform called Twitch. I had no idea what Twitch was before the pandemic, but I give all the credit to our music video directors, Chris Grau. He directs all of our videos, and he said, hey, you should get on this thing called Twitch, which is we just stream. We stream 3 times a week. We do music, we play video games, and it's like a community, and we all get to know each other and whatnot. And it's totally free to watch, so if anybody wants to check it out. But Scott Kloffenstein from Real Big Fish also streams on Twitch. And we share a lot of fans because of the fact that, you know, he plays ska, we play ska. And I don't know, this is very Twitch. I just said, oh, it'll be hilarious. Scott and I will cover Islands in the Stream, and he'll dress like Kenny Rogers and I'll dress like Dolly Parton. It'll be so funny. I never thought we were gonna do it.
Yeah.
And then I get a call from Scott, his manager, Scott Barrett. He goes, oh yeah, can you come into the studio? We want to record Islands of the Stream. And then it turned, you know, we recorded, the session was so much fun. And then Chris Grau goes like, I'm directing the video. And he does this insanely hilarious green screen 70s. And I finally got an excuse to buy a Dolly Parton wig and dress the part. So it was just super silly, but it was very fun. And I don't know, Scott's super talented. So I was just excited to sing with him. He's got a great voice and a great ear and great talent. So.
So all these things are going to be collected and put onto 45 as well, sort of an EP down the road.
You know, Islands in the Stream, I don't think so. That was more Scott's thing that we were guessing on. Okay. I don't know his plans for it, but for us, yeah, we have the Stay Free records release, and then we're going in the studio this month in a couple weeks, and so we'll also release an EP on vinyl at the end of the year.
New recordings or stuff you have?
New recordings. So we're
actually releasing a new music video probably in a couple weeks. We're recording it this weekend coming up. But yeah, usually what we'll do is we'll record a song, do a music video, release it on the internet, and we just keep doing that all year long. And then at the end of the year, we compile all the songs together and release them as a complete package on vinyl. And that way people are always getting something new every month.
Yes, sir.
Instead of just doing one album and waiting 2 years, we'd rather just keep doing new music every couple.
Yes, consistency.
Yeah. And that's kind of our strategy, and that's how we've been doing this band. It's kind of like how it was in the 50s where you did 45s every, just keep releasing singles.
So approximately how many full-length albums do you have now?
We just have the one.
That's not even a full length. It's an EP. We don't even do full
length. As a matter of fact, very rare are people doing full length now. It's practically everything is almost EP.
Yeah, the internet has a short attention span, and so it's hard to do LPs. We'd like to do a full length at some point, but we like this strategy because we're being consistent, like you said, which is nice, and it gives us flexibility. You know, if you get inspired by something, you know, midway through the year, we can go, oh my gosh, let's record this song, or opportunities like working with Lee Scratch Perry. When those things come up, you go, oh my gosh, yeah, let's pivot, let's do that. So then, we do Christmas songs, stuff like that. You can sort of plan out the year and then encapsulate it all in one in the end.
Yeah, and we've noticed too that with full-length albums, if you do a full-length album, you get almost the same excitement as you would if you released one song. So it's almost like you could do a bunch of one songs throughout the year and have the same level of excitement, or you could do one full-length album, which probably takes you a year to make, and then your popular or your visibility and your excitement kind of just drops after a couple months for a full-length album. So you might as well just keep doing a bunch of one songs.
Build the anticipation.
Yeah, the full-length album serves the purpose, the picture and the information, the players of instrument.
Yep.
I still look at the albums.
Oh, for sure.
So do we.
I still love to look at the albums. So are you pleased with the online, I guess, the social media response that you've been getting so far?
Yeah, it's been great. It's growing and it's neat. It's a way to connect with people, especially during the time of COVID, where you
Right.
can't do concerts. And we'll look at our numbers. Like Tahlena said, we'll perform 3 times a week on the internet. And because we're consistently performing 3 times a week.
The entire band or just the two of you?
It's always Tahlena, and sometimes she's by herself. Sometimes she's with a guitar. Sometimes we don't even play music. They'll just make cocktails and tell stories. Sometimes they'll play video games. We just we have different shows throughout the week, but it always has Tahlena. And then we notice that usually it's about 30 to 50 people watching it live. And then with the platform, you can go back and watch it later. So by the time it's done, each stream gets between like 150 to 300 people watching it. Right. So it's almost like we do a concert for a couple hundred people 3 times a week.
Yes.
And without being able to tour or without being able to play shows during COVID, it's been invaluable to like keep things going and allow the band to grow. We have people watching the show in Germany or in Singapore.
It's community. It's really cool. We have a message board that people go on. I just did a hangout with some of the people who subscribe to our Twitch channel, and we played games over the internet. Like, you just make friends, and people maybe show up to the stream because they like ska or by Me Bambi, but then they find out they also root for the same baseball team, or they find out that they all love the same TV show, and everybody sort of connecting and hanging out. And we have to shout out our social media manager, Jamie Rocha. Make sure we always have a nice looking Instagram posts and everything. But it's, we have like a whole team of people who help us, with social media and with Twitch and everything. But it's a cool community. Like, everybody I made like internet friends for the first time in my life. Like, it's really cool. And people will fly out for our shows. So when we played in the Midwest, like with the Slackers, people flew out and from all over the country, and we all got to hang out and party in Chicago, and everyone came to the show. It's just really cool. It's a cool group of people.
So I'm inclined to believe the pandemic, well, at least I'm optimistic that it's sort of dying out. When is your next show?
We're actually playing.
Is it a national tour, or just Southern California to warm up and then you hit the road?
We're actually opening up for a band from Mexico called Panteon Rococo.
Yeah, man. Hey.
Yeah, we're playing with them at the House of Blues Anaheim on March 12th and March 13th.
Okay.
So that's in a couple weeks.
So that's your first show since the pandemic?
Well, we went to the Midwest, like Tahlena said, in November of last year. Things were starting to open up, so it was okay to go before everything locked back down again. So we did a few dates with the Slackers in Michigan and in Chicago. So we've done a few things here.
And we did our big yearly show we do called the Summer Sizzler. We do it in the summer. So this past summer we were able to do it. It was at an outdoor venue. So that was like 700 people. We did that in Garden Grove. That was fun because it's very how shall I say it? It's people, it's very it's our show, so we get to do all the crazy things that we want to do, which is pretty fun.
You also put on your own show as well.
So that's what we did this past year.
Congratulations. Yeah, man.
Yeah, and we'll have the Summer Sizzler again this year, the Summer Sizzler 2. But we have, people fly out, we do like karaoke night with everybody, and we do, acoustic performances at a brewery, or we try to plan like fun things so people make a weekend out of it and get to hang out together. So it's pretty fun.
So repeat the dates again when you'll be performing, because this will be up within a week or so.
Okay. Yeah, March 12th and March 13th. That's when we're playing with Panteon Rococo.
2 nights.
Yeah, 2 nights at the House of Blues Anaheim. So, and again, if you've never seen Panteon before, they are amazing. They are surprisingly. I noticed you shook your head, so you've heard of them before.
Yeah, man, of course.
They are the biggest ska band in the world right now. I mean, they are massive, and a lot of people up here don't know who they are. Or people are discovering them. But we're huge fans. Love their stuff. Then I know we've got a bunch of stuff lined up where we might be doing some stuff with the Agrolites or the Slackers.
But we can't say it. You're already telling too much.
Yeah, but we've got a few things lined up. So before COVID, we had a couple tours around the United States, and we were supposed to go to London and Tokyo and Australia. All that stuff got canceled because of COVID. So now that things are starting to open up, we're trying to rebook all those things, but we're still cautious. So we're not totally, going for it yet, but hopefully we can.
I'm inclined to believe that you have a booking agent and all that.
Yes. Yeah, we have a booking agent. And then also, because we've been in other ska bands with Say Ferris and Starpool, we have other bands.
Mm-hmm. Wonderful.
Yeah, so we're really fortunate.
Mm-hmm. Yes, all right. I want to introduce my good friend, Eric Kohler. He's the producer of the show.
Hello.
Yeah.
Hello.
He has some wonderful questions.
Yeah.
And
Hey, Willie.
Yeah, thank you, Junior.
yes,
yeah,
man.
thank you, Junior. Good to see you both. And I was taking notes. Junior and I are going to start a Twitch channel.
Do it. It's the best thing ever.
No, but in all reality, you all have done an incredible job at, as you referenced, building a sense of community and really engaging with your fans. And I can imagine how much time and energy and creativity goes into that. But congratulations on that, and big thank you for helping keep the flame going, as Junior said too. Tahlena, question for you. So Junior touched on it briefly, but can you give some highlights as it relates to your acting career, like on TV or in film? Maybe just talk through some of, I'm sure you're proud of probably all of it, but just share some so that maybe some of our listeners or viewers might go back and recognize you.
Oh gosh, yeah. I always say the two things people will probably be familiar with are Glee and Parks and Recreation. The other stuff was mostly kids' TV shows and kids' movies. So I don't know if you had a kid in like the mid 2010s.
Yeah, I have two daughters that probably.
Okay, well then there's like Austin and Alley and How to Rock and stuff like that.
Great.
But yeah, Parks and Rec is what I get most people will most see me in. But I had a half a shaved head, so I'm not. I don't look totally the same, but that was very cool. Amy Poehler actually directed that episode, so I got to work with her and meet her, as well as all the other wonderful people in the cast. It was pretty cool.
Yeah, that must have been pretty amazing.
So for your non-English speaking listeners like myself, name the movies that you want us to watch.
Oh, Glee. I'm on one episode of Glee. I think it's season 5.
Okay.
And then I'm in an episode of Parks and Recreation. That one I know for sure. Season 7. The episode's called Grizzlebox.
Grizzlebox.
Grizzlebox. But yeah, so that's where most people will see me and recognize.
Yeah. But you're just taking a break. You've not ruled out doing more acting.
No, I haven't totally ruled it out, but honestly, my life is less chaotic without it. There's a lot of time and there's a lot of instability in acting, and right now I'm really enjoying just playing music and keeping it chill. I kind of know what's going on, whereas with acting it was always you can't go anywhere, you can't do anything, you can't tour, you can't, there's a lot of rules.
True. Absolutely.
That's when you sign a contract.
No, like with your agents, they don't like it when you go out of town, especially during certain times of the year. So you can't go, oh, hey, I'm going out of town on tour, or they'd be like, well, I would tour with my old band, Karate in the Garage, and they'd be like, hey, can you fly back? Like, there's this thing we need you to audition for, or can you put yourself on tape? Can you videotape yourself doing it? Like, it's just a lot, and it's stressful.
Very demanding.
Yeah.
I could imagine. Willie, so you touched on this earlier, but let's talk about the Imperials again.
Sure.
I think the Imperials they're maybe we also talk with guys from, I can't remember what previous interview we talked to, but there are a few bands from the late 80s, early 90s that I think don't get very much recognition for whatever reason. Either they were short-lived or
and I think it was also a transitional period in like the ska genre in Southern California. I think there were bands like No Doubt and the Donkey Show that got to a certain level of popularity, and then I think they kind of handed off the torch to other bands, like Federales or Scandal, or there's a bunch of bands that were all playing parties and playing the local clubs, and then they passed it off to the next band, and it was always kind of that marathon.
Yeah, but so Imperials are one that I think gets overlooked sometimes. But can you just talk about them to how many years they were around, or maybe how many years you were in it, and kind of what they were like?
Yeah, we started off year-wise, it's kind of a blur, but I just remember we were together for about a year and a half. We didn't play a ton of shows, but we got lucky. We got to get on the Moon Records California Ska compilation, and we put a song on there.
Yep.
And that was a really cool experience. We played shows like everybody else I remember doing shows in the Valley, or the shows at like LA Valley College. But we didn't play a ton. And then we disbanded, and then we started a new band called 6 Feet Deep, which was a lot of the same members. And then that band was together for a good like 4 or 5 years.
Yeah. That band definitely got a lot more work. And
yeah, but kind of same thing. We didn't play as many shows just because I think at the time ska was still kind of in a up and down phase.
Okay.
I know we had a lot of players in the band that couldn't play too much with scheduling and stuff, so there were some limitations with that band. But we did some cool stuff. I mean, I think 6 Feet Deep was actually on California Ska Week too, if I remember correctly. So we were doing stuff. But yeah, the Imperials, it was a fun band. I mean, I think I was still in high school when we started it. And I know we had the bass player for the Donkey Show when they disbanded. He came over and started playing with us.
Nice.
So yeah, I'm trying to think of some other good stories about the Imperials, other than I know California Ska Week was probably our big claim to fame, and I know we did some shows up in the Bay Area.
Did you ever tell Gabe McNair that if you were the trombone player for No Doubt, he would have been SOL?
Well, I think he wrote all the trumpet lines for him, so I think he was in the band before. I think when they tried to steal me from that one band I was in, because at the time they just had a sax player. I think Chris Carpenter, I think, was their sax player.
Okay, yeah. And I don't know what time Gabe joined No Doubt. I just know that he played trombone with him.
Oh, he's a oh no, you know what? I'm sorry. The original trumpet player Gabe. He's a different Gabe. Sorry.
Oh, gotcha. I was thinking of the trombone player Gabe McNair, who now with Sublime with Rome too.
Right when you said trombone, I'm like, oh, that's right. Wrong Gabe.
Yes. Yeah. How funny. So, Willie, talking about the SoCal scene, talk about how it evolved in the '90s from your standpoint.
Well,
so both sonically, but also kind of scene-wise.
Great question. I think a lot of that depends on perspective. It depends on your zip code.
Right.
I think a lot of it just depends on how and when you discovered ska. I know when I discovered it, I was handed a cassette, and it was, a cassette that had everything from Fishbone to Desmond Decker and Judge Dredd, and just
someone made you a mixtape.
Yes, very much. Then it also had like toasters and just a bit of everything. And so when I came into it, it was, you could have a patch that had the specials, and you could also have a patch that had, the Scatolites or just anything. It didn't matter. And then from my perspective, where I saw it, it felt like it kind of fractured as it got bigger, where you had Orange County kind of developing their own sound, where it was a little more of a party, more of a just having a good time sound, but it also blended some of the punk element of what was Orange County's sound, I think, in the 80s. So I think it just made a natural blend of those two sounds. And then I think in LA, you had that going on also, but then you also had another area where people started going more traditional, like Hepcat and, a lot of those bands that went in that element. And for a long time, both the bands could play together without a problem. And then I noticed as the ska scene got bigger, then it started to fracture, where you either could be in this club or that club, but you couldn't be in both clubs at the same time. And to me, it was kind of bad. My perspective, it was bad for the scene because it tears it apart and makes it more of like a tribal us versus them kind of thing. And then when ska kind of started to wane again in the early 2000s, then all that went away. And then you could go to things like the Blue Beat Lounge and have bands playing whatever genre. It didn't matter. Everybody could play together again. And it kind of feels like it's been that way ever since, where, you could have a band like, us play with the Agrolites, and, nobody really cares. It's fine. It's just fun music and people having a good time and everybody respecting everybody's talents and, bringing what they bring to the table.
Right. Yeah, that I think that's a fascinating perspective, and I would agree with pretty much everything you said, and I guess when you look back at it, when a lot of the scene started to become less popular in the early 2000s, right? The Blue Beat Lounge started up, and thanks to Chris Murray, and for he really kept it going for a number of years, and he was able to combine various styles within ska, but also that's where you had kind of the rise of some of the dirty reggae, the old school reggae sounds, but he would get some really good touring
And
artists.
out of town bands.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. Go Jimmy Go. You get Vic and the Slackers
Western,
came out a lot. Yeah.
There's a band from Chicago. I remember them.
Deal's Gone Bad.
Yes.
Yeah.
Quite a few of them.
Yeah,
You would hardly see those guys unless if it hadn't been for Chris Murray.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And a lot of people, not a lot of people know about Chris Murray's original band, King Apparatus.
Right.
And, I mean, they are a great two-tone band. They're a great fun party rock band. That's that same sound.
In Canada, they were based here. In Canada, right?
In Canada.
In Canada.
Yeah.
And you listen to some of their stuff, they are just hooky, catchy. Their guitar riffs sound like Roddy Radiation from the Specials. I mean, it's very, good time, fun party sound, which is the same thing that was happening in Orange County, at the same time.
True.
That's just, we all grew up loving the Specials, or at least I did.
Yeah. Yeah. And touching on that, Willie, so, and what did it feel like to be part of, so when you were in Safe Ferris, just with the overall breakout in 97 with Come On Eileen and such, radio hits, and you all doing radio shows, and you might have done the Warped Tour, but like, what did it feel like kind of being on top of the ska world, at least, right? And even the, modern rock world at that time?
It was a trip.
I bet.
Because honestly, like, I don't know. I mean, like I said, when we got on the radio and we started getting on MTV and getting all those things working for us, I'd already been playing ska for over 10 years, and it was like, I was the old veteran guy at 24, or whatever, 23, 24. And, I never started playing ska to be popular or to get on the radio. Like, that was never a goal. Like, I had one dream as a musician. I always thought it would be cool to play in New York. Like, that was something that I was like, oh, if I ever got to play New York, that would be awesome.
Yeah.
And I actually got to do that in 94. I used to play with Dancehall Crashers, and we did a tour with Hepcat, their first national tour. Right. And we got to play New York, and I was like, cool, I did it. Everything.
It was a show, Dancehall Crashers and Hepcat together.
Yeah. Nice. Elise Rogers used to manage Hepcat. So there's a lot of stuff between the two bands in the early 90s and all that stuff. But I just remember once I played in New York, I was like, everything after this, I got to play Wetlands. This is awesome. And so when Safe Ferris started taking off and ska started taking off, a lot of it was just kind of like, whoa, this is crazy. Did not expect this. I know there was a lot of animosity with some of the older bands that had been around longer, and they kind of looked at us like, oh, you guys just came out of nowhere. Like, who are you guys? You don't deserve this. And we got a little bit of, especially bands that I respected. There were some bands that I looked up to because, I'd been playing with them in other bands for years. And then all of a sudden I get lucky. I kind of won the lottery a little bit, just right place, right time. And happened to be in a band that, in my opinion, was talented and wrote good songs and had, a good live show. And a lot of people liked what we were doing. But a lot of other people that had been around for, before that, thought we were just changing our sound, or one of those bands that, started playing ska because it was popular. And, I never challenged anybody on that, but it was a little something that kind of hurt from, coming from people that I respected.
Sure.
But when we really started taking off, we were in a van driving all over the country and just playing shows every night. And we had no idea. I mean, we were literally, back then there were no cell phones, you had no internet. So it was just, we're playing.
You were schlepping it across the country.
Yep. And so every now and then I'd get a calling card and I'd call back at home and check in with the family and friends. And they would be like, dude, you guys are getting played on K-Rock like every 30 minutes. Like you're that band that is getting overplayed that everybody hates because they're just playing it over and over and over.
It's that fine line.
Yes, they crossed the line with us. And I had no idea because I'm sitting in a van, just listening to my Walkman, playing a CD and just trying to like not get sick and not eat too much junky food to get sick. And so we were kind of removed from a lot of what was happening. And then every now and then we would come home to Los Angeles and we would see how big it had gotten. And we would do shows where we headlined the Palladium and sold it out and just be like, whoa, like, I can't believe we got to this level of popularity in Los Angeles. And, it was weird. It was surreal. And we got to do a lot of really cool things. We got to play a lot of radio festivals. We got to play with a lot of artists that, I mean, we literally did a show with David Bowie and I ran into him backstage, like physically. And I'm just like, what is going on here? What are we doing here? We got to do the Warped Tour with the Specials and got to actually be really good friends with them, and hung out with Roddy almost every day of that tour. As a little kid, I was looking at the back of that record every day, just like studying all of their faces and reading all the liner notes, and touring Europe with the Specials, and just like could not believe that I got to experience that, and so many other stories that I couldn't remember them all.
I can imagine. Yeah, I mean, I'm a kid of listening to K-Rock for most of my life, and it's funny. I remember exactly where I was. I was a huge fan of the original by Dixie's Midnight Runners, right? Of Come On Eileen, and I remember specifically driving on the 101 North, probably to work or something, hearing the Save Ferris's version and just loving that as well. So
that's awesome.
Yeah. Funny how that works, but what an experience. Tahlena, what's unique about the Orange County ska scene now? And I gather that there's, and this is my kind of perception or analysis, that there's some good camaraderie for the most part right now amongst the scene, and both the musicians and the fans. But talk about the Orange County scene and for those that might not be very familiar with it.
Yeah, I feel like ever since I've been in, I mean, I sort of got involved in the scene in a band that didn't really even play ska music. Like, that's how welcoming the Orange County ska scene is. They're like, do you play some upstrokes in that bridge? Come on down, play a show, And so we were more punk, and I had wanted to be playing ska. So it was a way to like trick everyone in my band to play ska music. I'm like, look, we can play with all these cool bands. But I always say, like, you can go to a show in Orange County. I mean, I'm sure other places too. Other places we've played, people are so welcoming, but you can come to a show and know nobody, and you'll leave with 10 best friends. You'll always go, there's a guy in a Fred Perry and then like a guy in a banana suit, and like someone's got a puppet, and like no one cares. Everyone's just like having fun. And I just think that energy is so cool. And it was what drew me to it and gave me a lot of self-confidence. And all of my best friends are like people from ska bands. And I think that's really cool. But I see that across the scene now. And with the internet, I mean, you can know bands from all over the world. And I feel that ska is very welcoming. And, we preach a lot of unity. And I think that that's true. I think that, it's a cool place to be with people who want to listen to each other, learn from each other, make it better, make it stronger, and welcome new people in. And I think that's really special.
Yeah, no, I love that. That's a good perspective. Do you both think that, and really you name dropped some legends and founding fathers, so to speak, of the music that we all love, but and this question is not even specific to, I guess, the music that we all love. That was rooted in Jamaican music, but I think are by and large, are the new generation listening to as much of the legends? And like, as we, I think there's a fear among some ska fans, or maybe even Jamaican music fans, and I don't think it's just amongst the purists, but like as you get further away from the 60s, right, when it started, are people going to forget, right, about those originators? And as there's not as many of the legends still with us. I mean, thankfully, the members of Scatolites and Stranger Cole's still out there, and Derek Morgan and a few of them. But what's your take on the younger fans, not just musicians, but fans? Are they familiar, and do they know the originators?
I think I feel like when you try and group everybody together, you're going to fail. I think there's always people that, fall into one camp and they're not in another camp. There's bands that have no idea who Say Ferris is anymore, because that was, a long time ago. No matter how big we got, people have moved on. It's true. It's for younger people, it's what's today, what's current, what's now.
Right.
One thing that I love about ska, it's definitely, for some people, it'll be the gateway of getting them in with one band that's maybe a current band. And then some people choose to take that and discover the past and discover the history. Yes. I cannot tell you how many times, if I had $1 for every time somebody told me I discovered ska through Say Ferris and then I discovered the Roots. And that's been told to me so many times. So many bands, so many people, a lot of people in the LA scene that are playing in big bands now, they've taken me aside and said, your band's the band that I was into in high school. And then later I found out who, Desmond Decker was, or Toots, and just
that's actually a very important point. I mean, my gateway to really reggae or ska was UB40. I mean, it was Labor of Love. I guess Labor of Love 1 that I discovered, and really went backwards from there. And we all know a lot of people, got into reggae through Sublime. I think that's a great point. Doesn't really, in my opinion, doesn't matter what the discovery point is, right? And you said this as well, but like everyone is different, right? So to not lump it together. I just
that's why I think what's great about what you guys do with the show, because I haven't watched all your shows, but I've watched a few of them, and I noticed that you guys love finding out people's origin story for ska. And I think that's cool, because then that highlights and showcases that, hey, we're all getting there in different ways. So we can respect everybody's journey for ska, for ska. But then, hey, we're all doing the best we can. We like what we like. I don't expect everybody to like the music that we're doing, and that's fine. But you can also respect that, hey, maybe what we're doing might bring in new fans for your band, or might bring in people that might discover some of the Roots, or might discover different bands. Because again, we're all just, doing the best we can in life and ska and having a good time. And, it's all about respect.
Well, I think too, these last couple of years, with a lot of the social justice reckoning in America, a lot of us who are white have tried to really highlight the fact that, like, I am a half Japanese, half white girl playing like a Black people's music. And I have to pay tribute to these artists because it's important. They're the people who invent and create the genre. And it goes back into like colonization and finding a new country and independence, and like all these things that are so important culturally and historically that creates this music. And then you get, then it goes to the UK, and like, what does that look like? And these kids, like, we were watching, gosh, I feel awful. I can't remember the name of the documentary, but Pauline Black was talking about how like she was adopted by white parents, and she was finding about this like Jamaican culture in the UK, and she felt tied back to like her roots. Like, that's so important.
Yes.
And so for me to be able to learn about these things, I think is really cool. And I think the more we can highlight maybe to people who are younger, because, they're popping in, I don't put it on them to not know, they're popping in halfway, but to maybe unravel the string and to try and say like, hey, we did this song with Lee Scratch Perry and he's amazing. And if you don't know, please listen to this and listen to Police and Thieves and hear this, My Boy Lollipop, and hear this music. And, I think that's really important. And that's, I think, what will keep us a strong scene, is to always remember like where you come. Like the minute I saw Toots play one time in my life, and it was one of the best experiences. And to see a legend with an amazing voice and stage presence, and like, that's where it comes from. And I try to always remember that when we're playing,
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, Toots
in a category, a class by himself.
Yeah, seriously is.
So true. Yeah. And much like Lee Perry, someone who we lost over the last, I guess throughout the pandemic. So, and congratulations to you on your,
back to Lee Perry
on that forthcoming single.
So back I'm just impatient. So is it a ska mix over Police and Thief, or is it reggae, rocksteady? What is it? I'm just curious. I'm like that curious ska.
How would we describe it? I'm very proud of it, and I think it was a really cool collaboration. Our producer Cameron Webb, he really tried to invoke and pay homage to Lee Perry and like how he mixed it and the dub effects and things like that. And we really wanted the song to speak for itself because it has a really great message. But we wanted to make it sound a little different from everybody else. But I would say it's very in homage to Lee Scratch Perry. We didn't like play it all fast and like go pick it up a bunch in the middle, you know. it's still in the like reggae rocksteady vibe, but I tried to bring in some like jazz and blues vocal styling. I don't know, but I'm really happy with how it came out, and hopefully people like it. I'm really proud of it.
I can't wait. You think the spring sometime?
Yeah, we were told that the vinyl, because again, getting vinyl takes
backlog.
Yeah,
but Junior Mervin should be credited somewhere along the line, because I'm not sure how much of the song was written by Lee Perry.
Yes, yes.
In Jamaica, you never know the truth, but it could easily have been Junior Mervin's song. And the producer take half. We've seen that so many times in Jamaica.
Yes, that's very true.
True. We had the pleasure of seeing Junior Mervin up at Sierra Nevada World Music Festival.
I tell you, no, in retrospect, I really and truly appreciate Warren. I flowers on his grave for bringing Junior Mervin here. We've never seen him in Southern California. Much to his regret and our regret. Fans have never seen him here.
Yeah, that was pretty amazing.
Pantheon
Rococo that you talked about, and Latin ska, Mexican ska, obviously. We've talked with a number of guests about this, and Junior has firsthand experience going down to Mexico, and Willie, you've probably played Mexico.
It was Safe Ferris. We got to go down quite a few times.
Why is it important to you all to be part of this bill? And do you feel and are you specifically wanting to play more shows, to Mexican ska fans? And I guess the follow-up question to that is, when you can go on tour around the world, where would you want to hit first?
Well, to your first question, ska, I'm definitely saying something you guys definitely are well aware of, is an international sound. It's an international genre. With Safe Ferris, I got lucky enough to play Europe quite a bit, and we got to go to Mexico quite a few times, and to Japan, and all those areas have excellent, just great local ska bands. The ska scenes in all those markets are just great. And so with Bite Me Bambi, part of the reason we started this band is A, we love the genre, and B, we just want to do really cool experiences. And so being able to do a session with Scratch, or being able to like do some cool stuff on the internet, or do some touring dates and stuff like that, those are all cool things that we wanted to do and we want to do. And so doing international dates, that's definitely something we want to do too. Before COVID, we were going to do all of that, and then that got all delayed. So we definitely want to get down to Mexico City. The ska scene down there is just massive. I mean, Pantheon Rococo, they did 3 nights at a soccer stadium that holds 55,000 people, and all 3 shows were sold out. So it's like they played in front of 180,000 people in 3 days. So they're the biggest ska band in the world right now. And, and people that don't know them, it's a shame, because they are so good. And they just had an album that came out a few months ago, and it's cool. Ofrenda, yeah. And they have songs that remind me of Voodoo Glow Skulls. They have songs that remind me of like 90s ska. They have stuff that's just kind of all over the map, but it's just so good, so hooky, so catchy, well produced. I'm a big fan. But then there's other bands like over in Japan, there's Tokyo Ska and Ska and Oi Skullmates. There's so many bands over there that are great. So we're trying to get over there too. It's just there's only so many days out of the year we can, travel. So we have to kind of pick where we're going and stuff. But we would love to play more in the Latin market, but we haven't been over there yet. Just because, again, we started the band and then COVID. So we haven't had the opportunity. So we're hoping that these Pantheon shows will kind of start getting us more into that scene. And hopefully, we can do that.
And also put you both on the spot. If you had to choose, or if you could choose a few bands to be direct support for, in your dream, in your dreams? Name a few, in case their representatives are listening.
Oh gosh, if only.
Right. Well, that's hard to say. I mean,
I know. There's a lot.
I'd love to play with Tokyo Ska for sure. I'm big fans. We were lucky enough to open for the Selector, but I'd love to do it again. It was like, again, look, I keep being like, greatest moment of my life, but I got to meet Pauline Black, and that was like amazing. I'd love to open for them again.
We got to play with Fishbone. That was great.
That was great. But I don't know. The Tokyo Ska Pantheon was on my bucket list, so that's pretty amazing.
Yeah. I mean, we're just happy to play. So
like, if you'll have us.
Yeah. I hate sitting there saying, I want to do this or that.
It would be cool to do, like, play with Less Than Jake and, all those bands. I don't know. We just love playing with anybody.
Yeah. Well,
we're just grateful.
Did you guys play Ukraine?
If we could, sure.
Or have you played there on your tour?
I'm sorry. No, and they actually have a really big ska scene in Russia and Ukraine. It's a really big scene.
I'm just discovering that. I'm working with some guys in England on a podcast. I said, "Ooh, lots of reggae bands in Ukraine."
Big scene. Really big. I forget. I want to say in 2012, Tokyo Ska was supposed to play a big festival in the Ukraine. And I was going to go because my best friend works with them, or he worked with them at the time. And so we were going to go to catch it. And then I guess the festival or something got canceled and they didn't end up doing it. But I remember going, wow, there's a crazy scene.
There's that all-girl ska band
the Russian ska.
Russia.
Yes, they're larger than life.
Yeah, they're really good. I've seen them on.
Yeah, they were really
extremely good.
Yeah, they were really active throughout at least the earlier part of
and we've had a couple of bands reach out to us that wanted to do stuff, but I don't know, it's so difficult to work with everybody. You have to kind of pick your spots on where you want to do stuff,
especially during the pandemic, because you have to plan your travel kind of smart.
I know.
As much as we want to go out of the country, I don't know, this year it might still be a lot of
we'll have to wait and see
in the US.
Yeah, let's remain positive that cases continue to drop, so and we can continue to open back up. So in the final moments here, what else should listeners and viewers know about Me Bambi or about either of you or your bandmates or ska scene? What else would you like to share?
Well, I mean, Tahlena kind of mentioned before about our Twitch stream. That's kind of something that we're putting a lot of energy towards. It's just a platform. I mean, some people ask us, oh, should I do that? And we're always like, I don't know. There's a lot of platforms out there and there's no bad one or good one. It's just whatever you choose to put all your energy towards. And we're on there 3 times a week, which is
that's amazing.
Yeah. And then with our band practices and recording and music videos and all the other stuff we're doing.
Stop stressing me out.
Yeah. So it's pretty time consuming, but like Tahlena was saying earlier, it's kind of creating our own community and our own fan base, and kind of like what ska was like in the 90s for me growing up in LA and Orange County. It's that same thing, but it's on the internet, and now it's people,
Yeah, it's cool. Like you can collaborate with bands all over the world now. You don't have to be in the same place. You can do songs together. It's just a cool environment, and people I think are pushing the genre in ways that they haven't previously, which is interesting. People mixing in all types of other genres with ska, and I think that's really cool because I've noticed in some other music genres, at least locally, like if you don't support the new acts, your scene can die out. Like if you don't bring young people in, and I think with ska, we do tend to lean a bit older, but everyone's so welcoming to new bands. Everyone's willing to support. Like when we started Bite Me Bambi, like people were so happy to watch a video or download a song and, come on, follow us on the Twitch and find new people on there. And, same thing with a lot of newer bands, like We Are the Union, Half Past Two, Stop the Presses. I could go on and on, There's and there's a lot more women. There's a lot of female-fronted ska right now, and I think that's really cool.
That is very true. And on that note, real quick, love the version that you did with the Dancehall Crashers tune with Tara and Scott Tune Network.
Yeah, Junor and everybody, Nick from Mustard Plug, right? Nick,
yeah, really enjoyed that one.
That was really fun, and that was like I think that was like the start, not that we started, but for us it was the start of like, oh my gosh, we could all not be in the same place. You're like doing the like, oh my gosh. And so then a lot of people did really rad collaborations after that, and I think that's been really, really cool and a really great thing to come out of the pandemic. And same thing, like people doing Twitch and Patreon, and there's just so many different ways to support artists that you like. And
we've had a lot of bands ask us, because they've watched what we did with Twitch or with YouTube. We've had a lot of artists ask us, hey, how do you do this? Or it's neat to see. A lot of bands kind of took the last 2 years to just kind of wait until the pandemic ended, and we didn't. We took the 2 years to kind of do it while we could and try and keep it going.
We were going crazy in the house, like we have to do something. We have to, and in the end, I think it birthed this whole new thing that I'm so excited about. Especially with Twitch, just like getting to create experiences and stream from different places on tour and meet new people, and it's
genius. I mean, listen, it would have been so easy, given the unknowns, right, and the serious nature of COVID, and everyone had different experiences, health scares, horrible experiences. It would have been easy just to curl up in a ball and not. And
also, a lot of artists have a way that they know how to do things. They've been doing it for a long time that way. Yeah. So when they're told they can't do it the way they're used to doing it, then they just go, okay, well, I'm just going to wait.
But we got lucky. Somebody instructed us. Like Chris Grau literally was like, do this. And we were like, wait, tell us 100 more times. We don't understand. And so like we had a lot of help along the way. We did not like come up with this strategy. It was not us. We were not that smart.
We got lucky.
So got to give the shout outs where the shout outs.
But luck with a lot of hard work and creativity and energy. And you all, it's obvious that you all have fun doing it, which is also important. So just, big thanks and congratulations to you all, and Willie, you being so instrumental, I guess, in many ways, instrumental literally and figuratively, on the scene, for so many years, and all your contributions. So really,
true
really
veteran. Yes,
very much so.
Lucky musician.
But yes, trombone.
Rightness of place,
right
rightness
here.
of time.
Trombone right here with Rico. Trombone's my favorite instrument. So.
Oh, right on, Miss Rico.
I know. Did you ever have a chance to see him when he rolled through town?
It was one of those things. I never got to see James Brown. I never saw Frank Sinatra. There's so many artists that you just kind of go, I'll catch them next time. And I've done that so many times in my life now, to where I'm like, I can't do that anymore. If I see somebody coming through town that I've never seen, I don't care if I'm not sleeping that night, I'm going to go see that artist, because you just never know. I mean, especially with COVID.
I agree with you 100%. The one artist that I said that about was Joe Strummer, when he played those solo shows at the Troubadour. I think he did 3 nights. I was working the first 2 nights. The third night, my girlfriend at the time said, "You're not going out." And I said, "I know, I'm tired. We'll catch him next time."
Yeah, I'm sure we
just can't. You can't, like, you never know. So
absolutely.
Well, Twitch channel.
So the way Twitch works, and we have
the Twitch channel, I think it is.
That's right.
Yeah, no, you're right.
Yeah, you're right.
The way it works, and we didn't know, we had to be told, but Twitch is just a website that you go to. So it's twitch.tv
/Bite Me Bambi.
Yeah, or just when you're on twitch.tv, you go search YouTube and just type in Bite Me Bambi. It'll take you to our channel. And you can watch it on your laptop, on your phone, on your smart TV, anything that's on the internet, you can get there and watch it. And you can either watch it live while we're there, and you can interact with us for free, it doesn't cost a penny. And you can talk to us, you can talk to the people, you can watch, we'll do music, we could do whatever and just hang out. And then once we finish the show's usually about an hour to an hour and a half long. It'll stay on the internet for 14 days and then it deletes itself. So a lot of people, if they can't watch it live, they'll just go watch it at their convenience. And the shows, all 3 shows every week are there, and you can watch the previous weeks, and then they delete themselves. And we're just constantly doing 3 new shows every week. And that's
that's super cool.
And discipline and hard work, man.
Right. And what days?
We're on Sunday afternoon.
Sunday at 4 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, Tuesday 8:30 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, and Wednesdays 8:30 p.m. Pacific Standard Time.
Yeah.
Music is Wednesdays and Sundays, and Tuesdays sometimes we're just chatting, sometimes we're doing video games. That day's kind of a little crazy. What were you gonna say? Were you gonna say we're doing a 24-hour stream when we release our album? Because that's what I'm excited about.
And then we have guests from different bands come through. We just had Brian Clem from Suburban Legends on the stream last night.
Nice.
And then we got a few other people lined up that we've want to have on the show, but that's something new that we're starting to do. Nice. And then I think I mentioned earlier, we're shooting a new music video this weekend that'll probably be out in a couple weeks. So that's just, we're always releasing new music videos on YouTube, and those are our 2 platforms.
Yes,
keep them coming. Well, thank you, Willie. Thank you, Tahlena.
Thank you. Yeah, this was so rad. It's nice to talk to ska music with other ska fans.
No,
I think we're fans. I think we're fans, right?
Stuff, yeah.
You guys know a thing or two about ska. Like, I get that.
Yeah, right. I like that definition better.
I wouldn't know most of what I know if it wasn't for Junor.
I like that definition better.
Yeah.
No, it's my favorite music. I'm trying to leave it, but it won't let me.
It doesn't let you. That's what happened.
It will not. It will not. It will not let them. Thankfully.
Yeah.
Junor, thank you. Thank you for your excellent hosting skills as always.
Thank you.
Nice meeting you guys for sure.
It was lovely meeting you guys.
Much to my sorrow and my regret, I don't get to work with that many Orange County bands. In fact, I've hardly worked with any. You
have to change that.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
We'd love to do.
I've worked with practically all the LA bands over the past years, right? It's like 2 decades. Just about all the ska rocksteady bands in Los Angeles at one point or another.
Oh, that's great. Well, let us know. We're always down.
There you go.
There we go. Excellent. Well, thank you again, and thank you to all of our viewers and listeners. Please follow us at History of LA Ska on Instagram, and subscribe to our YouTube channel and join our Facebook group. You can follow this gentleman at Junor Francis. And Junor?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you said it. Yeah, you said it.
All right. Until next time. Again, thank you both. Have a wonderful time.
And the anxiety is really building for that.
Oh, I know.
So why is it only one song? I don't understand. Why not mix half a dozen songs? Why was it just one song?
That's what he was working on when he passed away.
Oh, so chances are he would have done multiple songs.
We wanted to keep working with him, but yeah, unfortunately he passed away.
Yeah,
we literally got a mix from him on Sunday, and then he passed away that
Are you sure? It was the next day? I don't know. It was very close.
That's what I was told.
Yeah,
but chances are you guys probably would not have gotten it if he didn't send it that song.
Yeah, basically, he sent it, and then that was kind of it, and so it was
very special. Well,
that's history in the making. Lee Scratchberry last project.
Yeah,
good for that.
Before he joined his ancestors. Yes, indeed.
Yes. All right. Well, can't wait. Thank you both. Have a wonderful time. Thank you all.
All right. Thanks for everything you guys do.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Our pleasure. All right. You take care. Junor, until next time. Take care, everyone. Bye-bye.